On this episode of Regeneration X the 90s, we take a look at a golden day in basketball. Atari finds themselves in a bad neighborhood. Save your apologies at the theater, and one of the greatest boy bands of all time have hit a dead end. Welcome to 1992. My name is Daniel. I am joined again by Wesley. How are you?
Life is good, bro. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and that's that. It's cold outside, which is a blessing. It's been so freaking hot, and it's nice and I'm gonna call it cool, but it's like raining and low-key cold. I was a little bit uncomfortable today, but I was grateful to be uncomfortable.
Someone who's
So that's
always
it.
cool is the 1997
Facts.
MVP. Cass, welcome back.
Yeah, there's no crying in baseball.
I didn't want to complain about it because here in Alabama we spent too long complaining about the heat, but I was secretly cold this morning.
That's good to my soul because you are notoriously always hot, and I'm notoriously always cold, and it's been a thing since we became friends, right? Kind of a dynamic that we've dealt with, but it's been hot, bro.
The long summers have forced me to adapt to warmer climates. Now I don't know what to do with the cool weather.
You're acclimated.
Yeah.
You became acclimated to life on Mercury.
No thank you to all of that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's cold here. Hope everybody else is comfortable wherever you're at.
We're going to take a look at August of 1992 this month, and we're going to kick it off with the events. Olympics are going strong. And August 2nd, American Jackie Joyner-Kersee becomes the first athlete to win consecutive gold medals in the grueling heptathlon with a 199-point win over the Soviet Union at the Barcelona Olympics.
She was the most famous female on the planet at the time to me. Like, FloJo was my queen at that point, and had been for a while. I want to say like she's coming off of some wins. I'm going to say, I guess in the 80s. What would you call it? I'm going to assume she was a favorite coming in, right? Because 92, right. She's like a known name at that point.
Yeah, you said she repeated, so it would have been, what, 88?
Okay, sure, absolutely. She was a repeat. I got to pay more attention.
And she stayed relevant for a while. Like, she still pops up every now and then.
Yeah, she's kind of a standard bearer.
Don't hold me to this. We are many episodes away, but I think we're going to see her again in 96. Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah, USA. I'm all about that. I get like super patriotic with the Olympics.
Speaking of USA Olympics, Carl Lewis, the U.S. track team sweeps the medals in the long jump at Barcelona. Carl Lewis wins gold, Mike Powell silver, and Joe Green bronze. So full U.S. at the podium. That's pretty cool.
Shout out. I had those names too. I had two of the names.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Of course, Carl Lewis is most people know who that is. But
yeah, absolutely.
To grab a second name from that list, impressive. We're going to take a turn. We'll come back. We'll come back to good news. But
USA.
Over in America during this time, we're dealing with some less fun topics. Four cops in the Rodney King beating case indicted on civil rights charge. Now, the quick, don't hold me to it for 100% fact story is, so the state had basically let them off the hook, and so it turned into like a maybe Supreme-ish court or just a different case altogether was brought back up against them because apparently the job wasn't getting done the original way or the first time around. So this time these guys are going to be indicted on charges, the four cops, and we already know that the police chief stepped down. Not the kind of pictures I really want to show on the program here, but this is just reality sometimes. So
that's reality. That's what happened.
This is a terrible revisiting this mugshot, like, oh my gosh, what a terrible situation, so
yeah,
here they are before, and there's the chief that stepped down, and here they are taking mugshots later on, which is what needed to happen. And you missed out when we were talking about this, the original.
Yeah.
So did you have you want to weigh in on this at all?
Where to begin, right?
Right. Topic.
You try to navigate yourself around, and I kind of knew that the opportunity to say something from the black perspective would fall into my lap again about this with it just being 92 and the trial coming up. But at the end of the day, there's not much to say other than can't we all just get along? This is it's bananas that I don't know that more we're dealing with those same problems today than anything. It's not a surprise that those things were happening. Communities have been saying it for forever, right? For forever, there have been complaints about the way people are policed, the way minorities are policed, the way different communities are policed. So the thing that got it was it being caught on film, and being caught on film changes everything. We've talked about this before, where cameras are kicking society's butt right now, where people can't pretend that people are crying wolf. There's no wolf crying when it's on tape, and this was evidence that communities weren't crying wolf. Police are beating the crap out of people.
So here's something that I've been wondering on, just kind of like a hypothesis, but is it just because the type of people who are attracted to being police officers, or
no,
more or less?
I don't think so.
Well, because I mean, around here, some of the people who were police officers around here, like, you could go back and look at from their high school, and you're like, this guy was kind of a prick, and now he's a cop, and he's acting a certain way as a cop, and you're like, well, that makes sense because I went to school with this guy, I know him, and this is how I would have seen him acting as a police officer.
Well,
I think that's
okay.
fair.
Yeah,
It's fair that it does attract that personality. I think that also attracts a couple of other personalities that are better. So
I'm gonna say it attracts all personalities. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, not at all. But that is definitely a thing and a problem, and maybe not too much of a generalization when it occupies such a percentage.
Okay, so my thought is varying personalities kind of are everywhere. They're just everywhere. Those same prickish guys that would seize the opportunity to beat a man while he's down on the ground in the position that Rodney King was in. And yeah, there are people like that working at McDonald's right now who would kick that man while he's down in that mob mentality. There are people who are running banks right now who would have hit him in that same situation. Those people are all over the place, right? The thing is, due to the nature of the job, kind of want to hold police officers and firefighters and politicians and these other people to a moral standard that is not possible, really. Not possible, really. So they're not perfect. They're just people out there who have a particular job. It's a job worthy of respect, and the positions they occupy in that job demands respect from society for society to function properly. But that doesn't mean that they're not just those pricks that you were talking about in school, right? I know those pricks. We work with them all the time, right? In every aspect of life.
Right.
We know the jockish, overconfident guy. We know the little shy person. We know this person. We know that person. We see them in all aspects of life. Let's not kid ourselves in thinking that even though we support the blue, we support police officers, and I come from a military and police family. So let's not kid ourselves in supporting the military and supporting blue lives, that those people are perfect and that they're worthy of unchecked respect or unconditional. Yeah, it's not unconditional respect, right? Because they're going to lose it. A lot of them are going to lose it because a lot of people suck. A lot of people just suck on the planet, and these guys just apply for a job for the most part.
That's true.
And those are 4 assholes right there.
Well, I would hope the screening process now has evolved tremendously, but here we are. I don't know too many things that have gone on in the calendar year 2019 when this is being recorded, but within the last 3 to 4 years, way more has gone on than one would have thought in 1992 when we were trying to put a wrap on this.
Right.
Okay, so that's my point. Not really. You ask the black community, you ask the Mexican community, they'll say, yep, that's going on. Ask the gay community, they'll say, yeah, police officers are beating the crap out of us in some situations, right? Like,
yeah, lady just got shot in her house.
In her house.
This week or last week.
In her house, bro.
Shot her from
Threw
the
her
outside,
right
yeah,
into her house.
into her house, shot and killed her.
So yeah, these aren't perfect people, and they're not worthy of unconditional respect, and they never will be. No matter how much society gets better, it's always going to be just humans occupying a job, and we've
Right,
got to
because
treat them that way.
like you were saying, you come from a military and a police family. My former brother-in-law, he was a police officer, and so like that kind of puts me in an awkward position because having listened to some of the stories and some of the things that he was subjected to,
Sure.
then you kind of start seeing, well, maybe I see why they might have a little bit of a hair trigger when it comes to certain
Totally.
situations,
Totally.
because he got ran over. He was trying to just do his job, make a stop, and the person just ran him over with the car.
Right. Okay,
So
that's the other side of the coin.
Right.
I understand it. I understand that. Let's be honest. If we're having this conversation, let's be honest. Los Angeles gangs, all of that, right? The police were at war.
It's a tough spot.
The police were totally at war, and they were at war for the most part with minorities in regards to to a certain degree. They were at war with gangs and drug dealers and all these things that are more of a problem in minority cultures and minority communities. So to make it make sense for someone not in that situation, how many times have you gotten upset with a loved one and gone too far because your energy gets kind of pushed too far in the wrong direction? There are people, you might kick the dog that you love, or yell at your child way louder than you meant to yell at them, or any number of things. So because we're imperfect humans, we overreact in things at times. The thing that comes with the position of police officer, though, is a higher standard. And
Right.
that's where that unconditional respect thing, that's where we get to check them. Because although we can acknowledge, yeah, I understand you're living a stressful life and that crap can get to you, you're held to a higher standard because of the position that you chose to occupy, right? You chose this job, so you're held to a higher standard at all times. And when you overreact, the situation is different because you're a person in power. The same thing goes for management or anybody in a position of power. When you take advantage of that, you've got to be checked. And these are just civil servants, which means they're our employees and all these other things. Yeah, and we got to hold them to a different standard. So they're just people, but held to a different standard. I can't say that enough. And treat each of these situations differently. Let's not pretend that problems that they're laid bare to us now in 2019. They're just video cameras. This was the first time ever. This is really that's what this will always be remembered as for me. Is can't we all just get along? And the first time, maybe not the first time, because you got garden hose, or you got kids being hosed down or whatever in the 60s. But
Right.
it's the images, it's where we can see it, where it really means the most.
Where everyone can see
images
it.
those images from whenever hit a little bit harder.
It's one thing to hear it described. It's another thing to actually see the effects of something.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think back to 1992, though, today it's just somebody discreetly holding up their cell phone. This dude had a camcorder on his shoulder.
The audacity, the balls to do that, bro.
Camcorders were big back then. There's no hiding that. You got this big camcorder on your shoulder.
This guy gets caught by these guys while he's recording it. He's gonna be joining Rodney there on the ground, most likely, right?
Right.
There's gonna be 2 beatings doled out that night,
and no evidence. So
exactly.
and then this conversation never happens. Yeah, so
absolutely.
It becomes he said, she said at that point, and they're going to take the cop side.
Who
because
believe?
they're in the position of power.
Right? Yeah.
I need to hear the story of the person who was filming this. I'm interested in hearing the story, where they were, how they ended up there, how they had the equipment with the capability to film at night in the way that was filmed. If I want to say, I could be wrong there, but I haven't watched that video in forever, and I've never really watched like the. But it was 92. We've talked about this before. Oh, really? A guy got beat in California? That sucks.
Clear across the country.
Can't we all get along? Clear across the country. Can't we all get along? I guess that's a thing.
We just saw
we
whatever
should get
was
along,
on
but
our
keep it moving.
on our local news that we all avoided trying to watch.
Right.
Oh, Dad, I'm trying to look at. Okay, so we decided 92. We're 7th grade.
That's
Is that confirmed?
Right. Yep.
I feel like we should probably remind everyone, like, okay, this is what was going on in our perspective that we have on those things.
Right. We weren't just completely self-absorbed, horrible people. We were just kids. So
we were just kids who were absorbed with something other than this.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
When I can play Super Mario World instead of hearing this bad news, you know, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Yeah. If it wasn't raining, I was probably outside shooting basketball.
Right.
This didn't make any sense to me until that Different World episode. I'll say that. I'm not going to say it even made sense then, but there was a good different episode of The Different World, which was, for people that don't know, it was a spinoff of The Cosby Show, and we've discussed this. I'll watch The Cosby Show in a different world till the day that I die, and I'm able to not feel any issues with that because I'm maybe giving some money to Bill Cosby's trust or however that works. Anyway, good show. Different World did a good episode where the gang ends up out west and caught up in the riots. And that was good. And it was probably a good moment for a lot of young people across the country who didn't really have any kind of an appreciation for what was going on. At the very least, it started that conversation. It started some conversations in some homes. So shout out to the gang there as well.
Yeah, respect to tackle that issue on a comedy, which some of the better ones do at times, and then for a network for letting it through.
Sure, absolutely.
Switching gears tremendously here. Let's move on over to August 7th, where the San Francisco Giants, I don't know if you guys remember this, they tried to just get out of the game. They were going to sell the franchise to Tampa Bay. To a group of Tampa Bay investors. The move was blocked by other investors that basically bankrolled them staying in San Francisco, as they were a big part of baseball history there in San Francisco. But I don't recall this from those days. I thought it was interesting. And what this
I'm looking for an F somewhere around here.
You probably misplaced it.
I can't find it.
What this will lead to, however, is Tampa Bay is not getting out of the game. This is just going to lead to the inception of the Tampa Bay Rays.
What's funny about this story, which I don't remember this story, but what just strikes me about hearing this is the Giants pretty much packed up and left New York. They were one of the first teams to move out west, because they started out as the New York Giants back. You know, I guess you used to have two Giants, and that's why they call them the New York Football Giants. Maybe that's where that name comes from.
That's interesting.
Yeah, nice.
But they were the New York Giants. They packed up and they moved out west to expand baseball on the West Coast. And so now to hear that they wanted to, give up and come back east is kind of interesting.
A fickle family must run the Baseball Giants organization. On August 8th, Metallica band member and lead singer James Hetfield suffers second and third degree burns during a pyrotechnics explosion on stage at Olympic Stadium in Montreal, not to be confused with the Olympics in Barcelona, just the stadium there. But things went wrong. Took some serious burns there.
I kind of feel like I remember this.
I kind of feel like I remember it too. Metallica's a big deal. Whether love them or hate them or indifferent to them, they are, without a doubt, a big deal in metal. Yep. Our boys, the original U.S. Dream Team, wins basketball gold at the Barcelona Olympics, 117-85.
Can we name them all?
Over Croatia.
Easily. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting like a mofo. I'm too excited.
I don't think I can name them all. I can name most of them, but that guy in the back left has already got me.
I think Cass has this one. Easy. Yep, absolutely. And the rest of them are pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
For the people that don't know, top
Go ahead.
row,
So
Leitner, Ewing, Magic, and
Robinson.
David Robinson. And then the next row, what you got, Daniel?
Bird. Oh man, that's Leitner, right? Jordan.
Nope.
Mullins.
Mullins, yes. He played for the Golden State,
Warriors.
right? Yeah.
There
I
you
remembered
go,
his team.
yeah.
I just couldn't remember his name. There's Jordan. Is that let's see, Drexler, Pippen, Stockton?
Yeah.
Stockton, yep.
Malone. Karl Malone, brute strength, and the man Charles Barkley.
What just happened with Karl Malone's name?
I can't remember. It was from a commercial or something, but every time they said the word Karl Malone, it would be like brute strength.
Oh, please find it.
I'll try to find it for you. We're gonna play that one in the future. I will never forget. Pretty much cruise controlled all the way to the Olympic gold there.
Smoked everybody. They smoked everybody. And I don't care what you say, rest of the world. The U.S. team would smoke everybody again right now with LeBron and Anthony Davis. I'll tell you what, the two Los Angeles teams together would smoke everybody.
I won't dispute that. I would say that the win deficit or the win margin would maybe be a little less now. I think the world, caught up is definitely not the word, but there are better players perhaps in modern world basketball.
Yeah. You got to look at all the international stars that are coming across. I mean, the international game is getting much larger. It's, where a lot of those, international countries, it's always been soccer. Well, now basketball is starting to get a foothold.
I think Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns destroy every other big man in the world, every other big man combination from any team. And LeBron and Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and whatever.
I think Paul George would. I guess if you're just doing
our best players, that team that the Dream Team was. The Dream Team was zero ego, send our best, right?
Right. Was anybody left out that you can think of in '92?
Yeah, without a doubt. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Or let me rephrase that. Is there anyone you would have taken instead of one of the 12 there? That you can
Christian
remember?
Leitner, stay your ass at home, and Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, good call. Well, very good call.
Isaiah Thomas wasn't going to make it because Jordan.
Exactly.
Jordan pretty much said he wasn't coming, and then they wanted a college athlete, so it was between Christian Leitner and Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq would have been
Shaquille, he says that he was upset at the time, but he realizes they made the correct choice by selecting Christian Leitner over him, because he admits that at that time he didn't really have any business being on the court with the rest of those guys. And he said Christian Leitner was able to just go sit on the bench and be basically their ball boy and be happy about it.
And Shaq wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to do that.
Well, big of him to be able to say that. Would have been fun to have him there, though.
Right. Yeah. But Jordan did famously say that if Isaiah was on the team, then he wouldn't be. And
I vaguely remember this story now.
Yeah. Who's going to take Isaiah over Jordan? I don't even think the Detroit Pistons are going to take Isaiah Thomas over Michael Jordan.
I never realized what a handful he was until much later on.
Yeah, there's no tapes around.
Right.
There's no tapes around.
Well, you watch some of those bad boy games, and I mean, especially the way they treated Jordan until he was finally able to beat them.
Sure.
Which, that's one reason why people complain about, the NBA players today and saying that they wouldn't survive in Jordan's era when that whole, debate over greatest ever comes up between Jordan and LeBron and Kobe.
Right.
But
I think Kobe would.
Yeah, I do too.
Kobe came into the tail end of it, so he did play in some of it. And they were cleaning it up, but it was nothing like what I mean, Jordan would just get beat down.
The cakewalk that Steph Curry has to deal with or gets to go through right now,
Right.
and James Harden, it's a cakewalk. I've said it before. I think Cass and I have had this conversation recently. I think James Harden could hang with these boys. I think he has the game, the body type, and the will to play with them. Russell Westbrook could play with them.
Russ could, yeah.
Yeah, Embiid and those boys. But above everyone else, and Kawhi could as well. I'll put Kawhi and LeBron and Paul George because I believe in Paul George on that level. I think the Clippers have the two best guards in the league, and I don't want to get too much into modern time, but I think that LeBron could 100% run with all those guys on the Dream Team in their era and have survived at 6'8", a solid 245 to 265, depending on when we're talking.
Yeah, he's definitely got the body, but he whines a little too much. That whining wouldn't have lasted in the old
Absolutely.
era.
It wouldn't have lasted, so he would have stopped.
Right. I was going to say that too. I think he would have adapted.
Yep.
He's too good to have not.
Jordan would have made him cry on the daily.
Early on, and it only would have made him better.
Yeah.
Jordan
would have done good things for him, probably. Jordan was a tough teammate, but a good teammate.
What's the saying? Iron sharpens iron, or however it goes. Something sharpens something.
I think it's iron sharpens iron.
3 best players ever?
Right here? It's not fair for me to make commentary on Larry Bird because I wasn't around for enough of his games. I think he was on the back end of his career, at least in the 90s when I really got into basketball. 3 best players ever would be those two and maybe LeBron instead.
If you're replacing anybody on the Dream Team, probably Larry Bird because of his back really limited him.
Okay, at the time.
Oh, at the time, yeah. But his legacy, gosh, how do you not take him?
Yeah, he deserved to be he earned his spot on that team. But now if we're talking replacing somebody, his back, he didn't play that many minutes because he was, you watch a lot of the video of the Dream Team and you'll see Larry Bird can't even sit on the bench. He's laying flat on his back on the floor.
Right.
Jordan, Magic, Kobe, LeBron, Mount Rushmore, basketball.
Yeah, I said best 3 ever.
You're gonna make me again, and I'll say it to an extent. It's hard for me to compare Magic and Kobe because I just know more about Kobe's career.
I love the Lakers and I love Kobe. I think Magic is the best player ever.
He can play all 5 positions.
Yeah, well, I think we've had this talk before. It's hard for me to tell you you're wrong. We're talking margins of small percentage here on who's better out of that group.
Out of everybody. 5, and I think the biggest takeaway from that conversation for all of us when I guess dealing with other people is that we pulled Jordan back down to the rest of the crowd. Like, I feel like in a lot of people's minds, he's too far separated from how good Magic was and how good Larry Bird was and how good Shaq was and Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem and those guys. Jordan had 6 rings, and that's super incredible. But rings don't necessarily mean that you're better than someone else. And Jordan wasn't that much better than Magic, and he wasn't that much better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
But he's the GOAT still. I'm not saying he was not better, though. He's just not better than Magic.
I think he might have been marginally better. But when it comes to competitive edge, like, those are 3 top-tier competitors.
Sure.
And they all made everybody else in their team was better because they were on the team.
Right. You knew the names of all the guys on their team because it was their team.
Absolutely. Larry Bird is easily number 1 best white guy ever.
I won't argue that. I won't argue with that.
YouTube, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I've watched or what I've talked about. YouTube keeps recommending me these Larry Bird videos, and it's all the former players who played with Larry Bird talking about how great he was and then showing clips of some of the things that he did. I mean, some of the stuff is really astonishing. His trash talking is really entertaining.
I've been down that rabbit hole, bro. Yeah, Larry Bird is like that. Larry Bird was a bad, bad man, as Stephen A. would say. He's a bad man.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, we could talk this all night.
I know. I got you guys on basketball. I went in deep.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Oscar De La Hoya, future 6-weight boxing world champion, representing U.S. beats the German Marco Rudolph on points to win the lightweight gold medal at Barcelona Olympics. Just a shout out to a relatively young De La Hoya there, who's going to go on to have a great career in boxing.
He's a legend. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Legend in the game.
Absolutely. NAFTA happens. North American Free Trade Agreement. Canada, Mexico, the U.S. announced completion of negotiations for the North American Free Trade Agreement, which still to this day is being picked apart as whether or not it's a beneficial or good deal. But
sure,
this is when we got rolling with it. I don't have a lot to say about it. Obviously, it was definitely not something any of us would have cared much about at the time. But
what are you talking about? I was all about free trade between Mexico and Canada.
Well, okay. I don't imagine you were lobbying, calling your local politicians and
refuse to accept my calls.
We didn't even really have any classes that would have talked about this, did we? Like, we didn't have a current events or social studies. I mean, we had U.S. government we took for like half a semester, and then the other half we took something else.
Our history classes and government classes, for what it's worth, yeah, they failed us in the. There should have been, here's 10 minutes where we talk about what's going on in the world right now. Some of this may be relatable, but
hopped in the time machine and searched all over my house for an F, and I couldn't find one there either. It was weird.
Haven't found one. A strike 2 for not finding them.
This is not a good month for the Fs.
No.
Unless it's my report card.
Boom. We were smart kids, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Ed and Patricia wouldn't have stood for me getting an F. I did learn that having a C in what was it, discipline, keeps you out of the all A honor roll.
Discipline is a graded.
Yeah, I got a C in behavior or whatever they called it.
I'm sure I was right there with you.
And because you and I sat side by side.
I was right there with you, misbehaving most days. So that was.
And I'm still upset that I did not win class clown in the yearbook.
We were robbed. One of us should have got that. It was voted on by a committee who had no idea what they were doing. So.
Who got it?
Tyrone, right? I mean, love him.
Tanya.
I think it was.
Girl.
It was
Tanya
Tyrone.
who?
Right. Exactly. Like I say Tyrone, at least you know who that is.
And Tyrone Johnson.
Yeah.
Tyrone Johnson wasn't funny.
Right. He was awesome. He was the sweetest guy ever. Awesome guy.
Yeah, that yearbook staff was they were on meth.
Like, I was bitter that I got most likely to succeed. Like, literally bitter that these people thought I would succeed. Yes.
Nerd.
I wanted class clown so bad. I worked 4 years to get that, and they stole it from me.
You're robbed, Cash. I want to recount. We'll take it at the 25th anniversary.
Oh, I think one was Lockhart. Didn't Lockhart get one?
That was legit.
Anthony?
That was legit.
Yeah,
he earned
Anthony
that one.
It's a different style of clowning, but he definitely.
Yeah, that was my boy. Shout out to Ant. He kept me laughing, bro.
Yeah. Maybe was he around for the awards? Maybe because I'll throw a yellow flag on that one too, right?
I won't. That's my homie. I love him. Shout out to Ant.
Sorry, I want a background check before these awards are given out. Sorry.
I was legit thinking about him earlier today, and a fight that he got in. I'll just say that. I'm not gonna, respect to people that may ultimately end up watching this. he got into a fight, and I was there for it. And it was another thing that he made me laugh about. I'll just say that. He deserved class clown. The two of you as well, but that was a clown.
Who can name this hurricane?
Opal.
Opal, yeah.
Fair. It's a fair guess, guys, but this is Hurricane Andrew.
Oh wow, I should have. That would
Originally
have been maybe.
southeast of Barbados in the Caribbean. On August 24th, it hit South Florida, making landfall at Elliott Key and later Homestead. 44 will die and $25 billion in damage is recorded. This is a big deal hurricane.
Absolutely. I've got respect for Hurricane Andrew in my head.
Yeah, just a little bit of the... I thought the boat photo here was interesting. You know, just shuffle them up. But yeah, size-wise, look at this thing. I mean, it's as large as... or it's as wide as Florida, you know? So.
Yeah. Huh. Very interesting.
And that
was a good show.
44th Emmy Awards, Northern Exposure is the big winner. Christopher Lloyd, Dana Delaney. I remember feeling like it was a touch on the boring side. I would probably like it more now than I did then. But it also was, you know, it was one of those shows that came on at like 10 p.m. or something. So there was nothing else to watch anyway.
That's probably why I liked it.
Yeah.
Hey, you got your mouse pointer. And that's my mouse pointer. Nope. Yeah, that's mine. That chick in the middle. Ooh. Yeah, that's my, you already know, Daniel.
I know.
And Cass, y'all know me. Yeah,
I know it. But
that's my move.
You
right
know,
there,
later on, she grows her hair out long and does some movies, and I start thinking she's attractive.
I'm sure she's. Yeah, you can. She's pretty with.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Her head shaved, but Northern Exposure. How about this? A cousin of mine hit me up on social media, and just said hello right away. Hey, how's it going? It's been a minute. What's up? Nothing much. I'm back up here in Alaska. Like, what? What are you talking about? You're back in Alaska. Last time I talked to him, he's in Lafayette, right? So he's like, I'm back in Alaska. What are you doing back in Alaska? I didn't know you were in Alaska in the first place. He goes, yeah, actually, I'm from Alaska. What? Okay, cool. You're from Alaska. And apparently he moved to Alabama just before I moved to Alabama, which was interesting. How that never came up that he was from Alaska. Well, we met in late teenagers is when we really met, but it never came up that he was from that he's from Alaska.
How does that?
Furthermore, he tells me, yeah, absolutely. Furthermore, he tells me there's a big University of Alabama fan base in Alaska. How about that? Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. What are the odds of that?
What are the odds of that?
Couldn't be
the Northern
away.
Exposure. That was in Alaska, right? I'm not crazy.
Yeah, no, that is
for sure.
The premise. Is this
sure.
The guy in the bottom right there moves there, and they all mistreat him for a while, and that's the comedy, I guess. That's the, he's the relatable character.
Have you started watching Molly of Denali?
No, is it a modern Northern Exposure?
It is not. It is a little kids television show. Maddie will maybe have you watching it soon. If she's a PBS kid, if you guys watch any PBS, Molly of Denali, it's a good show. Check it out.
I like the sound of it. I'm going to check it out.
Yep.
A radio show premieres on August 31st, and that is the Howard Stern radio show premieres in Cleveland. Actually, Howard is going to go on to do big things, as you all know. Thoughts on Howard Stern?
Yeah.
I respect what he's done. I mean, he's what do they call him? The king of all media or something?
I am not a fan, if I'm just being honest. I'm sure you guys are not surprised to hear me say that, being that I skew on the more goody side of things. But I guess I would tentatively or gingerly say that I respect what he's accomplished.
Right.
You know, I don't respect the way he's accomplished it, but that's just me. You know, that's
right.
Who am I to say that? Because obviously there's a large market out there for him. So
yeah, he started the shock jock genre. There's a lot of people who are doing similar things to what he's doing now.
Yeah.
But I don't listen to his show. I've never listened to his show.
Is it still on?
I think he went over to Sirius or something.
Yeah, I think so.
He's on satellite radio now. But he signed like $100 million, this massive $100 million contract to go over there.
Okay. Well, whatever.
But
He gets money.
All right.
I don't listen to him. Never listen to him. But
he's essentially the Hefner of radio to me. And
more like what's the other guy? The penthouse guy.
Larry Flynn.
Larry Flynn. Fair enough. Yeah. I can't, I'm not gonna act like I've never listened to his radio show, but I have watched.
I was gonna say that's my only experiences back when he was on E, like forever ago. They would show a version of his show late at night, like the filming in the studio, and this.
Okay, I guess that is what that was.
And I'm like, whoa, this is. Why do people listen to this?
Yeah. I don't enjoy, and I don't think I ever, because I like some weird things, and I'm not going to say like I'm above.
Yeah, same.
The things that come from the shock jock thing. The problem that I have with him is he's mean to people very often, and I've never been entertained by being mean to someone. You know what I mean? Like you can be graphic and all kind of things, but that's I can't say that I've never been entertained by that. But I'm definitely not anymore. And for several years, his I don't know, his behavior isn't my cup of tea. Hasn't been my cup of tea. The way he interacts with people, I'm not cool with. I don't jive with it. Messes with my mojo. But get money.
There are your events of August 1992.